Hey everyone, this is Sonke Майнэн. I got a lot of questions from Vitaly on Instagram and I would like to answer them for you now, so let's go directly into it. First question. Hey Sönke, you became famous for your unique technique, in particular for your combination of classical and funky techniques. How did you come to such an unusual style of playing? It's very much about being open about all kinds of different styles of music. I got a lot of good guitar lessons when I started playing and also in my studies, but I was always also very interested about other kinds of music, and also in my studies I got a lot of lessons in jazz, flamenco and everything basically. And sometimes if I heard something I liked, I was asking myself, like, how can I actually use this on the guitar? And if there is no normal guitar technique you would find in a teaching book, you have to be creative and find your way to create certain sounds. I think that's the only way to not really limit yourself to a small part of what's possible with the instrument. Next question. Recently you often play Meinen guitars with steel strings. What is it connected with, and doesn't it harm your nails? I think Vitaly saw some clips I uploaded on Instagram where I play steel strings. So I recently wrote a few steel string pieces, and for me it's very important when I compose that I also don't limit myself to one sound, but I think it can be very inspiring if you switch to another guitar or even to the piano and write something, because you're listening from a different perspective, and it really improves the way you're listening to yourself. Yeah, so that's why I love both steel strings and nylon strings. And it doesn't harm my nails, I think. They don't look very good right now, but I use gel nails. They're very strong, so I just hope they will survive. I think so. We'll be fine. Third question. You have a musical education. Does it help you in composing? And is it necessary for becoming a good musician and performer? It's not really necessary, especially for being a performer. I think a performer is more about having experience and just getting better, learning by doing. That's my experience, at least with performing. Getting more confident on stage and all these things. Of course, it helps to have people with experience telling you a lot of information and you get educated about it, but the main part is just do it, just learning by doing. But I would say also with composing, it's maybe not necessary. There are a lot of people who have such a good ear, they create incredible music without knowing what they are doing. But for me it helps a lot because you simply understand why you choose different options when you compose. And it just expands your vocabulary. So if you think about writing music, like writing in a language, you just have more words, more grammatical structures and more possibilities. And it's probably easier if you hear something to achieve putting that what you hear in your music. But I would also say there's nothing wrong with just fooling around on the guitar and not thinking about theory and any educational things, and just listen, just play and listen. That's a good way to create new ideas. I think the knowledge about theory and all that helps more when it comes to the question, I have an idea, what do I do with this now? Like, how do I make a good composition out of one idea? That's at least my experience. Musical education helps a lot with that, but it's not necessary. Number 4, name top 5 guitar players. That's not possible, I think. I really like all players, not only guitar players, but musicians who found like a very personal way of playing. So they created their own musical voice And if they achieve that, it's the most important thing to achieve, I think. And then they are probably also so different that you cannot really compare them. And it's more a matter of taste. And it's totally not about who's the best. It's about being you as a guitar player. Number 5, what musicians influenced you? A similar answer maybe to that. Musicians who found their own way of playing, not really in a technical way, but in a personal way that you recognize them immediately. They inspire me immediately. And if they inspire me, they probably also influence me, even if sometimes I don't notice it. Maybe it's just a little bit sometimes, but I'm very fascinated about that. So yeah, that's the most important thing. Maybe I can tell a few examples who I listen to right now. And yeah, for example, right now I'm a big fan of Wolfpack, great band, very groovy. I recently tried to adapt some grooves for guitar. Maybe I will use them at some point for a composition. Chris Thiele is very, very good mandolin player, also with the Punch Brothers, his band. Jacob Collier, for example, he pushes the bar incredibly high levels. So yeah, there are a lot of people, but those 3 I listened to a lot in the last weeks. So next question. You are a touring performer. What is more difficult for you, recording at a studio or playing concerts? Why? I'm not sure what is more difficult for me. I think I have a little more experience in playing concerts, but I also know that those 2 things are very, very different. Sometimes you play a song very different on stage, like you play it when you record it. I had one time when I played a song like very energetic on stage, because there was just a great atmosphere in the audience, and it was much fun to play, and I was playing for them, and I tried to put as much energy in the song as possible. I tried the same the week after in the studio, and it didn't work because I was not playing for an audience, and I played it like softer and softer and came closer to the microphone every take, and it got better and better. So you have to be aware that those 2 things are very different, and you have to be open about using the different atmospheres for your music, or for the way you're playing your music. Next question. Who would you like to play with, guitar players, including those who've already passed away? Michael Hedges, I would say. It's not about playing together with him, it's more about, I would love to hang out one evening with him and talk about music. He seemed to have been a very inspiring guy. Yeah, of course, unfortunately, I've missed the chance to meet him, but I would say Michael Hedges. Next one. According to many musicians, music does not bring enough money, and musicians always have the main work. Music is like a hobby. Do you agree? If you really dig into the job, it's much work, and it's not really a hobby anymore, but it's still a lot of fun. And the question is, what is enough money? Of course, you will not become rich when you're a guitar player, at least 99% of the guitar players. But being able to be a musician on stage is so much more worth than, for me at least, to have like a house and a big car and all that stuff. So for me, I would say if you have a good plan, you can do so much being a musician. You can teach, you can play concerts, you can produce, you can be a studio musician, and so on. If you have a good plan and you are digging into all kinds of different options and finding your way being a musician, then I would just recommend doing it, and that's no hobby anymore then. So I don't agree. Next question. How to achieve such a slight and fast technique like yours? Is it possible with short nails on a guitar with steel strings? It's I can only it's probably different for everyone. Like everybody has like a different body, different fingers, different possibilities. But for sure, it's possible on different guitars, for sure. One main tip maybe for you, like what I did at least, I try to never separate technique and music too much. So I try when I practice technique, I try to practice it in a musical way. And even if it's just one note I'm playing all the time to practice a certain technique, I try to play it as musical as I can. So that's maybe a good way to make sure your playing is very musical and natural. And I think that's very important. So that's maybe my main tip regarding technique. Number 10, name top 5 main things which are necessary for a musician to succeed. What is success here? It's the question. For me, success is that I'm just earning enough to be able to be a guitar player. Success is to play music I love. Success is to have the possibility to improve, to become better, to become different, to try out all kinds of different things, having nobody to tell me what kind of music I have to play. That's maybe how I would define success as a musician. But also, of course, the whole business side is necessary. So you need to be structured, and you have to have long-term and short-term plans. You shouldn't just wake up and like, what should I do today? Then it maybe doesn't work. But I think a main thing that's important or that's necessary is to always put the music first. So just focus on become good and become you as a musician. Then take care of the rest, everything else comes after, and then you should be a happy musician, I would say. Number 11, have you ever had moments when you wanted to give up your career as a guitarist? No, never had them. But I'm also not putting myself under the pressure to say I will be a musician for all my life. Maybe in 10 years I will try a different job. Who knows? Maybe I will stay a musician. I don't know yet. But I've never had these moments. Number 12, you've recently been on tour in Russia. Tell us about your impressions. It was crazy. It was one of the best tours I've ever had. Very well organized by my friend Pasha. He showed me around in many cities who were very different from each other. I started in St. Petersburg and Moscow. I was very impressed. It's amazing places. I also had some good concerts there and some great audiences. And then we went to the train almost to Mongolia, I think. And I remember that we had such a busy schedule. So sometimes we had a concert. After the concert, we went to the train station, drove overnight, sleeping in the train, waking up in a new time zone, going directly to the sound check, playing a concert, going back to the train station, again driving overnight to another time zone, and it was crazy, but I will never forget this. Such a good experience. And you have very good food. Number 13, what are the top 3 main mistakes you shouldn't make while playing the guitar? Not switching off your phone while practicing. Only focusing about the technique and not caring about the music. Only focusing about the music and not caring about the technique. Number 14, how much time do you devote playing the guitar now, and what do you mainly work on? I mainly work on composing. My main motivation being a musician is to create beautiful music. So that's my big focus on composing. So I practice technique when I have a technical problem because I can't achieve a sound I want to achieve, but then I go back to composing immediately. So right now I'm just trying to create as much as I can, and it's a lot of fun. So sometimes right now I have a lot of time for it because there are no concerts due to Corona, but so right now I also devote a lot of time for it. If I start touring again, there will be less time, so I try to use this time right now. Last question, number 15. In what direction should a guitar player move if he or she wants to play fingerstyle and already has basic skills? I think my main tip here would be, don't limit yourself again to any style or to just one direction. There's no worse or better, it's a matter of taste. But I think the more directions you check out, of course not everything at the same time, you have to make a plan, but in every style of music you would find something that can help you to develop as a musician. And don't focus on one direction, just focus on different directions, and just explore, just be curious and explore. That's my main tip here. That was the last question. Everything done? Yes. So I hope I told you something interesting, and maybe at some point, if we are allowed to play concerts again, it would be great to come back to Russia. So I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much for listening, and have a good day. Bye bye.